I'm your host, and you're listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. As always, thank you so much for joining me this week. So my motivational quote is by one of my all-time favorite actor/comedians, Steve Martin. And Steve says, "Be so good they can't ignore you." What an awesome quote. How many of us actually try to remain in the background and try to blend in? And have you ever heard that expression, "I keep my head down and I fly under the radar"? Why? Why should we play small and fly under the radar? Why not play big and be seen? What have we got to lose? So maybe the world needs what we have to offer, yet we're kind of hiding it. Today, my guest is Linda Waterhouse, and Linda and I are going to discuss how to play big, how to be seen, and how to create an amazing brand for yourself. Now, Linda is an award-winning digital marketing strategist who helps small businesses gain clarity, take action, and increase their revenue. In addition to websites, email marketing, and social media campaigns, her current focus is teaching techniques on using LinkedIn for personal branding and for generating a stream of leads. My favorite thing, sales. Now, Linda was honored in 2018 to be named a top 25 New Jersey leading woman entrepreneur. Congrats, Linda. When not working, Linda keeps busy with her menagerie that includes 3 dogs and 3 cats and a husband. And she survived 3 teenage daughters, so there isn't much that will scare her anymore. So, Linda, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for inviting me, Connie. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, a real pleasure. So let me just set it up, Linda. We were at a networking event together a week or so ago, and Linda had one of the tables and was giving away a free consultation. And I won! I don't ever win, so I was very, very pleased to win Linda's review of my LinkedIn, which I know she's going to give some examples today and embarrass me, but that's okay. I can handle it. So let's talk.
I know you can.
No, I know you're a love, so I know you really won't. But we could certainly use me because I think I'm common when it comes to digital marketing and branding and all of those things, right? I know my business. I don't know the social media, website, all that kind of information. Now, what got you interested in the digital marketing stuff?
Oh, I started out as a software engineer. And when I came back down to New Jersey after we had kids, I was looking to get back into the workforce, and I had taken some courses on websites, and I found a job with a guy running this company, and we worked together for about 1.5 years, and then he unexpectedly passed away.
Oh.
And his wife asked me to continue his legacy. And so I wasn't really expecting to be an entrepreneur, but I thought long and hard about it, and I saw this Richard Branson quote that said, "If an opportunity arises and you don't know how to do it, say yes, and then figure out how to do it later." And I jumped in with 2 feet, and here I am. And learning, digital marketing, even from that point, has changed so much, and it's just even more exciting. What really excites me is the fact that, small entrepreneurs can really play, on the same playing field as the larger companies.
Yeah. How long ago was that you became, you shifted from employee to entrepreneur?
About 2012.
Wow. So you've been doing this a while. What's funny is I love that Branson quote, but here's the thing, as an entrepreneur, most of the times you just have to jump in with 2 feet because there's no easy way to become an entrepreneur. You just kind of do it. I think that's an important quote because we don't always know what the heck we're doing, but jump in. Here's the other funny thing, Linda. You're good at the websites and all that social media stuff. So all the businesses are thinking, yeah, but I needed help with that. So you're probably good on the front end of doing the branding, so that makes people hiring you, I think, easier because you visually create what people want to create. Did that just make sense?
Maybe tell me another couple sentences about that.
So I want to start a business. I know, for example, consulting on sales. I know sales, but now you shift and you think, how do I get the word out there? How do I create a website? how do I set up my LinkedIn page? So I just put very basic stuff out there because you have to have, a website, you have to have LinkedIn, and you do. But you came out, so to speak, already professional, meaning top-notch stuff where, I'm still getting there with my social media, and I've been in business 17 years,
Well, Connie, I don't want to make it seem like, I am the model for social media because, more often than not, it's what is that phrase? The cobbler's children don't have any shoes. I work very hard for my clients, and then sometimes I see my stuff takes a back seat. So my profile is, not exemplary or perfect at all.
Yeah. No, and yeah, we know how to run our business. That's what we do. So, okay, Now being an entrepreneur, doing this for about 6 years, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you first started in 2012?
Let's see. The one thing that I wish that I knew was that I always knew that you couldn't stop learning. I wish that I knew how much I needed to be around other people and have that collaborative experience. Like I think that, I didn't want to hire employees right off the bat, and I still don't have any employees, but I do hire, consultants and resources to work with me. But I didn't realize just how important the human touch was. And, going out to networking events and meeting people and making time for, just having a social life and a balance ended up being a lot more important than I thought. So I know it has nothing to do with digital marketing, but just from a business person's point of view.
Yeah. And well, think about that as an entrepreneur, right? We work 7 days a week. I'm not saying we work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, although when we started, we probably did work that hard. But like I had to work yesterday to do the introduction and think about this while I was wrapping presents, for Christmas. So that's the life of an entrepreneur. And I never say that as a complaint. And I know you don't either, because by me being able to do that, then I could go visit my parents, or my husband and I could go out to dinner and schedule that and not feel guilty, because I know, Saturday or Sunday, I'll put a few hours in. So there's never a guilt. It just helps with the creating of balance. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Like my goal is to create a life where I have freedom and flexibility to do what I feel like I need, for me and my family and my friends.
Absolutely.
So, like I told you before, that I needed to visit my daughter down in the D.C. area, and I was able to schedule things so that I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes me really happy.
And I think that's, everybody says, oh, entrepreneur, you have control of your own time. And I always go, kinda, not always, right. Because really the demands of the client always comes first. And then you try to wiggle in, what you have to do. Now, tell me, how are you different from other digital marketers? Like for people listening and they're thinking, yes, I need to do this. Yes, I need to find someone. Why are you different?
Well, what I like to do is I consider myself a translator from the technical world to, the regular world. In fact, one of my taglines used to be that I translate geek speak to street speak, because I really noticed that a lot of digital marketers, they just speak in these 3-letter acronyms, SEO, PPC, SEM. And, people get this kind of dazed look, but they're afraid to ask or say that, well, could you really explain that? And I really take it to heart that I want to make sure that people are not intimidated by it. It's technology. A lot of people, my age and older didn't grow up with it, but it doesn't mean that they can't learn it. It's really there for everybody, and what I do is I will start wherever people are and explain the terms and compare it to, real life situations so that they understand that, in a lot of ways, for example, LinkedIn is really just taking your face-to-face networking meeting and moving the conversations online. So it's not anything more scary than that. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to, say anything personal. You say it personal as you would be at a networking meeting. You're not going to be telling people about your health problems or anything right away, but, you can mention that, you have a family and that you went on vacation and you were able to, fit in work where you were. And it doesn't have to be, real personal. It can just be a friendly conversation. It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
Well, it's interesting. I think that even though the social media stuff, everybody thinks it's impersonal because, again, it's online. Well, look at we're using technology, right? We're using Skype to record the show. You are not in my office. I am not in your office. You could have been in DC recording this, which was originally what we had planned. So we have all of this technology, yet it's personal. So I think the more people know who we are, again, without the dirty laundry kind of thing, but the more people get to know who we are authentically, I just think people resonate more with us, and that's when people hire. It's funny, I went to a networking event and a couple of my clients were at the same event, and they walked in and they said, "You're here too?" And I looked at them and I go, "Well, I have to generate business too. Of course I'm here." And then now seeing me not as the teacher or the expert and me as, in their shoes, they were hysterical. They go, "Wow, you're always the same." And I giggle and I think, well, I don't know how to be anybody but me. You don't know how to be anybody but Linda. So when people, I think when people see you out of your normal environment and they think, oh, you're kind of human and you're the same, all of a sudden you become more authentic because it's personal. Right now I was having personal conversations with him. I wasn't the expert in front teaching, the class about sales or whatever the topic is. So I think it humanizes us as well, which is important. Now, I want to share my LinkedIn profile, which I haven't done yet, but and I want to just comment on what you said about the technical jargon. As Linda was reviewing my information, my website and my LinkedIn profile, she had a whole beautiful report. And as she was going through, I was taking notes, and she would say like SEO, which I knew what that meant, but she would say like search engine optimization. Really the importance of that is, and all that means is, so you just said you try to do geek speak to street speak. Was that the thing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I love that tagline, by the way. But you took that technical jargon, which like the PP, whatever you said, meant nothing to me. And then when you explained what it was, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that is kind of important. So you really do not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk, because you did that with me. So I just wanted to share that with everybody as well. So
Thank you.
Honestly, it was truly informational, the review with you, and I actually understood it, and I am no clue about the social media stuff. So what got you? Go ahead. Say it again.
That means I did my job right.
And you did it very well. Now, you mentioned LinkedIn. I mentioned LinkedIn. What got you interested in deep diving with the LinkedIn profiles with people?
Oh, well, there's so many different social platforms out there now. You have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and it can be overwhelming, and people feel like they need to be on everything, but they really don't. What you really need to do is figure out where your target audience is. And for a while, I was doing a lot with Facebook, but lately people have gotten really disillusioned with Facebook. It's really pay to play right now since Facebook became public. And so the techniques that I used to tell people how to, get engagement on their Facebook page just don't work anymore because nobody sees it. So, and then, it was getting very political, or people were, posting pictures of, their food that they were eating, or, crazy cats or anything like that. So I really had to take a look and say, where do I want to focus my time? And Microsoft bought LinkedIn 2 years ago, and they've really been making a lot of updates. They're improving the user interface, they're making it more intuitive. And then since I always take classes myself, I was taking a LinkedIn class, and my coach mentioned to me how searchable our LinkedIn profiles are. And what that means is that I don't know if LinkedIn and Google have a particular relationship, but for some reason, LinkedIn is very searchable. So, for example, if I didn't know you and I was going to be meeting with you, I would probably be Googling you. Like how many of us Google other people who we're going to meet?
Absolutely.
And when you Google other people, almost all the time your LinkedIn profile comes up on the first page, and more often than not, it comes up in the first, 3 or 4 settings. So that means that your LinkedIn profile has a ton of visibility, and it's a great way to either make or break the relationship. I mean, people can go to your LinkedIn profile and say, oh, she's not up to date, I'm not really interested in what she's doing, and they don't really get a good feel. Or they can look at your LinkedIn profile and see, oh, this is how she would help somebody like me. I really want to talk to her more. And then in addition to the other things like, any kind of volunteer activities that you do that we might have in common or anything else. So I really don't think that people realize just how valuable your LinkedIn can be from a personal branding perspective. And that's what really hooked me.
And it's interesting because the LinkedIn profile, again, from a business perspective, is just crucial. It used to be you went on LinkedIn if you were looking for a job, right? It was almost that was the reputation. That's not the case anymore. So LinkedIn has become almost our business, our virtual business card to some extent, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, LinkedIn is still very valuable for finding jobs. Recruiters are on there all the time looking for people to fill positions, but it's expanded beyond just for job search. That people are actively looking, they're using it, salespeople are looking at it to warm up leads before they have to make cold calls. Even though they say cold calling is dead, and there's still a lot of salespeople that cold calling is part of their day. And how much easier would it be if they could develop a little bit of a relationship on LinkedIn first to see if there is an interest, and then ask for the phone call after they've already earned the right to ask for it. And then the person's going to take it. You don't have to worry about going through a gatekeeper. It's really great with that. It's also good for people, wanting to find collaborative partners.
It's interesting. Couple of things you said, you just blew my mind. Cold calling is really, really hard, right? So if you could, it is. I mean, hey, listen, 36 years ago, I was in insurance and I was calling from a phone book, at some point in my early on until I started, until I had the money, the cash flow to be able to buy lists. And they were cold calls. It was dialing for numbers. And it shifted. It definitely shifted. And now as a business owner, I really don't call customers and say, hey, you need me to teach you about sales and get more revenue for you. And, nobody wants to hear that. So for me, LinkedIn, my website, all of these digital things, the show, right? I post it every Monday. That all of a sudden I have a profile. I hate that word, but people get a vibe of who I am. It's funny that you said on Facebook, I don't ever post pictures of my kids or on vacation. I'm not that important in people's lives. I get that, right? So I remember when my kids graduated high school, all my clients were like, you didn't post any pictures. And I'm like, because it's a business, platform. And they're like, we want to see pictures of your kids. So it was because, again, I get personal with my clients. So I posted pictures of my kids, Linda, and my Facebook blew up. I was like, really? I post these great quotes, motivational quotes. I get nothing. I post a picture of my kids. So, but that's the personal component that we can shift from those cold calls and making it personal. And I'll just share with you recently, connection through LinkedIn. Somebody, we had similar contacts. So I reached out and I just said, we're similar groups, blah, blah, blah. Why don't we get together and connect? And we just started a dialogue via LinkedIn and we're having a cup of coffee. Like no pressure. She's local. Exactly. I'm local. Mm-hmm. It was just a real nice. Now, are we going to collaborate anything? Don't know, but we had a lot of similarities. So that would be a good contact for me and for her as well, for us to just connect and make it personal. The other thing I wanted to say is, as you were reading my profile on LinkedIn, I had the I, like I am not, Connie is. So, and you commented on the first person that, again, to make it more personal of how I can help people. So why is that personalization? Do you think it's even more important today, or why have you found it with your clients to be kind of the linchpin, link pin, whatever it's called.
Well, first I want to comment on something that you said before about you post all these great quotes that people don't really say anything about, and then you post your kids' graduation pictures and it explodes. And that is a classic example of that we need to post what our audience wants to see, not what we want them to see. So just keep that in mind. And not that we're going to post all of our family pictures, but just to make it a mix, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's a perfect example of just how much people want the human connection. And I really do feel like, you know, because we are all rushing through our days and we're in cars a lot, and many of us are working from home. Even like my husband works in sales for a large company, but he works out of our house. And he doesn't have, you know, the water cooler chat anymore. You know, there's no hallway conversations. I think we are all yearning for the human touch. So instead of being, you know, impersonal on social media, we really want to get to know the other person. And that goes along with what you were saying, that with your summary, instead of being in third person or, you know, Connie does this and Connie does that we need to make it like it was a conversation, like we were talking to the person on the other side. So that's why we do I and you and really more you than I, because
Absolutely.
People are interested in how you can help them.
Absolutely. It's always what's in it for them, right? That's the basics of every conversation we have. How can we help you? What's in it for me, the client, or the potential customer, or the potential collaborator, right? That I'm going to collaborate with you on a project. Why, right? Now, what is there something that you have found that your clients are shocked or didn't know about LinkedIn? Like, is there something that most people don't know? Like, you go like, oh, do you get that a lot? Is there anything?
I don't know if it's you know, that shocking, but it's one of the things is your contact URL, which is the address for your LinkedIn profile. And a lot of people don't ever change it because they don't even know they can change it. And what they don't realize is that that's kind of a sign of a LinkedIn newbie, because one of the first things you're asked to do is to customize it, so you can, you know, make it your name. If it's Connie Whitman speaker, Connie Whitman sales, you can also add a keyword. So people are surprised at where it's effective to put keywords to help find you. The other thing that they don't realize is just how important recommendations are. Recommendations are social proof. You can give them and you can request them. And, you know, people say, well, I have testimonials on my website. It's like, well, that's great, but they're not on your website. They're on LinkedIn. You want to make sure that they get to your website. So, and it's okay to ask for recommendations, and it's actually okay to craft a draft recommendation and send it to somebody who's really, really busy and say, you know, you can work off of this, or if you have something else, you know, I'd love to see it. So there's really a lot of easy ways that they can make this more streamlined so they can get the results that they want.
And it's so funny, Linda. You're right. I know when we reviewed my LinkedIn, my testimonials were old. It was when I set up my LinkedIn page, put it on ignore, it's done. And how many people are doing that though, right? So and I'm like, oh, I have to update that. I have to get updated testimonials, because from 2012 to 2018, I've done a lot of stuff. I've grown as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, whatever. So since that's 6 years is a long time, I need to update that. So that was one of the flags on the play with my LinkedIn page that Linda found. So that was good, you know?
Well, yes. And one of the things that I hear all the time is, I made my LinkedIn profile, you know, a few years ago. I haven't touched it since. And it's like, well, you know, this is one of the things. And yes, I was just looking at your LinkedIn profile before, Connie, and even though we said it, you still haven't done that cover photo. That is something that, if you haven't been on LinkedIn for a couple years, that is new. And the basic default background is this light blue with these white dots and lines.
But I have it.
Yes, you do. And you also have the default headline, which is your title and company. And I mean, it really doesn't say who you are. You know, yes, you're CEO, But people aren't hiring you because you're the CEO. They're hiring because of your sales expertise and how friendly you are and how you convey the information. So it just takes a little bit of effort to find a picture of something that represents us, and then to take a little while to craft a headline, as that's called, to let people know that we work with this type of person with this particular problem.
And it's funny because you said it again, and you said it when we had our call. That header there is precious real estate on our LinkedIn page.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
It's huge, and most of us, it's that blue with the little dot, connecting. It's hysterical. So just talk a little bit about you did already, but talk about why that can drive even more connections by using that precious real estate, and what types of things should be in that header.
Okay, well, I'm going to differentiate the cover photo, which is the big photo behind our profile picture, and then the headline, which is the text that shows up underneath our name. So the cover photo, which came out, I don't know whether it was 2 or 3 years ago, is a great piece of real estate once somebody goes to your profile. And you know how a picture can convey a lot of messages in, an instant. So it's a place where we can put things that represent us. A realtor working out of New York City can put the Manhattan skyline. A nutritionist can have a display of beautifully healthy fruits and vegetables, so that people get, just in an instant, they get an idea of what that person is all about. It's also a wonderful place to put our contact information, or to put a little bit more about, ask a question, are sales getting you down? With me, looking to use LinkedIn to get more leads. Put that up there so that people know right away what you do. Another thing that I tell people who are authors, put your book cover up there. It's saying that you're an author without saying, hey, I'm an author. It's just getting that visual connotation over in an instant is really helpful.
Well, it's like when we were kids, right? Our parents used to say, picture's worth 1,000 words. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's the same concept. We are visual learners, and that's a nice way for it to trigger what I might do for a living. Now, you're going to run, first question I want to ask before we talk about the classes you're going to run in the new year, which I will post those links. But what, for people listening, and then the classes that you're going to host, what's your ideal client, or what's the sweet spot for you to be able to help people?
Okay, well, for the first class, which is magnetizing your LinkedIn profile, that I believe is for anybody who believes that they are being Googled, business people, because that is the ideal place to increase your personal branding. So if you do nothing else on LinkedIn, if you, just did your profile 2 years ago and haven't touched it since, it's worth spending time to just go through and change the things that we talked about. Plus there's, a few other tips. And it gives people a little bit of accountability. You and I went over your profile, I don't know, a week or two ago. And, have you had time? Probably not.
No.
So it's just a really great way. It's a 3-session class where we sit down and we go over people's profiles, and then we have a chance to review. Because, often we're in our own silos and we think we're saying something that makes sense. And this is a way to get some peer review so that people can say, I don't really know what you mean by that, or I know what you do, and you do this, but you do something more too. So it's a great way to do that. The other thing that we're going to be doing is a class on how to actually use LinkedIn afterwards. So what do you do with all those connection requests? What do you say? What do you say afterwards? And how do you use LinkedIn to get in front of the people that you want to do? So so as far as the ideal client, it's usually small business owners or people with a small sales team that want to use LinkedIn to get noticed, get connected, and get more leads.
Yeah, and business people, here's the funny thing, Linda, right? I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what your position is. You have to have a sales component where you're generating leads, even if you're not the one going out physically on the appointment, but you know, even if you're at a call center, there, maybe not, maybe a call center is a bad idea, but everybody to some extent have some type of sales component to whatever your daily activity is. So if you have the potential where you can say, hey, go to my LinkedIn profile, there's more information there, and you just send that link, now all of a sudden we're having a real conversation. I have a CEO, he's out west somewhere, and we connected through a group. It was CEO group, and never met the gentleman. We have corresponded several times about different topics. He was in the media out there and things like that. No business has been derived from that, but I have to tell you, he's a really nice contact that's outside of my wheelhouse of what I typically do. And I think I'm outside of his wheelhouse a little bit from what his industry is. But again, it's someone that I know I could reach out to and say, does this sound funny to you? I know you're in a different industry. What would that mean to you if I was trying to expand my footprint, let's say beyond the financial service industry? I don't know. So again, he knows who I am, that if I did reach out even as an info resource, I think he would absolutely respond. So I think that we get hung up on, well, what's it going to do for me today? And I think we have to look bigger than that with the social media, and especially with LinkedIn. It's not just how can I help you today or how can you help me today? It's how can we forge these really dynamic relationships for the future as well, because everything's changing.
Yes, yes. Now, have you ever met that person face to face?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
and that's exactly what the benefit of LinkedIn is that it allows you to meet people, meet people that you wouldn't ordinarily get to meet in face-to-face meetings because your circle, either geographically you're too far away or your circles don't overlap.
And it's easy. Again, whether he sent me the request, I don't even remember how the connection originated. But, you know, on his birthday, you send a birthday. How things going? How's business? Anything new with your industry? You know what else I find, Linda, with people that, again, we're not going to do something immediately, but it just widens my expanse of knowledge about different industries so that when you're talking to people at networking events and they mention something, I'll say, oh my goodness, I know the CEO, he's with this company. I heard your industry just did blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden people are like, wow, your breadth of knowledge is quite expansive. Again, it's a conversation. But what does that say to that individual? She's well read. She lives and breathes connecting with people. So again, it speaks volumes to who I am, me, the person, not just Connie Whitman, the business owner who teaches sales and how to communicate more effectively. There's so much more going on than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you see, you're a natural because, you know, when people ask me about those happy birthday messages, and they're like, oh, you know, it's just like Facebook. And it's like, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
You know, and when you were describing it, you said, happy birthday, and then you asked a question. You know, the idea is to start a conversation, not just say happy birthday, but, you know, what's one fun thing that you did? What did you do to celebrate? Who did you see? You know, what's the best birthday that you can never remember? You know, start a conversation, because it's that connection that makes people realize that, hey, I want to spend more time with you. I would love to do business with you.
And it shows that the person is interested. You know, I can't tell you the number of congrats on your anniversary. And that's because it's a LinkedIn thing. Whenever I send, 90% of the time when I send, unless I really don't know the person, then I don't know. I don't know how to say more than that. So usually I'll put congrats. I can't believe I've known you 11 years. Where does the time go? You know, are you excited about your new adventure if there's a promotion? Again, it's personal. And I think we forget, Linda, because we are such a global economy now, it's still personal when we do business with people.
Oh my God. It is it is all about relationships. You know, any person who is in sales, and as you said before, we are all in sales, whether or not sales is on our job title.
Absolutely.
That we need to develop relationships. It's not, and people are yearning for the connection. They really, truly are. And so we have to I think that when computers first started, they were kind of cumbersome. So we got used to being terse, doing a command. And it's evolved that we can now, use our voice to write things. Voice search is really big now. And it's just things are evolving and becoming more conversational, developing the relationship. And as you said, things just happen. I'm promoting LinkedIn for business to business people. And even though somebody, they saw that I did that, he reached out to me to ask if I could help him find a job. Now, there's lots and lots of people out there who already do that, but he knew me from before, and he saw that I did that, so he reached out to me. I didn't have to do anything, and how great is that?
Absolutely. Leads should be coming in all the time if we're actively using these tools. It's just another tool for us to get personal. You know what you were saying, you ask a question, I'm giggling, Alexa, right? We say, oh, she turned on. I have Alexa in my house. Now we're all going to hear my Alexa talk, right? But it's, tell me what the weather is, or play this music. We're always asking it a question, and it's an artificial intelligence. So we're really good at that. Why can't we do that with real humans on LinkedIn or whatever, the social media is that works for my company. Linda, we're out of time. Amazing. I know there's so much more to cover. Guys, if you're interested, go to Linda's website. It's lindawaterhouse.com. I will post it on the Web Talk Radio platform for Enlightenment of Change. Email Linda if you're interested. It's lwaterhouse@wsiwebsystems.com. So I will post Linda's information on the Enlightenment of Change Web Talk Radio platform so you guys can find her. Again, Linda, thanks so much for being on. Great show. I hope you guys will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together how to challenge ourselves and just become better. Hire Linda, LinkedIn, it's all connected. Thanks, everybody. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I wish you all an inspired week. Please go out and perhaps try LinkedIn. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Linda. Have a great week.
Thanks, Connie. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.